Recent Tavern deaths seen in the country are a reminder that black people in South African townships are on their own. Now, this is according to political scientist and lecturer at Rhodes University, Masixole Booi, who says we're now forced to have a conversation about the broader township structural violence that most poor black people are subjected to. For more on this, Booi joins me now. A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. The current high number of deaths that have been happening in taverns have really shown the spotlight on the nature of taverns and the dynamics around the space, especially post-1994 in the townships. Tell us more.
Thank you very much, Mpho, and good morning to you and your viewers at home. Look, I think the conversation about the current deaths, I think they were one-dimensional in the sense that most people or the public dominant discourse was about only taverns. And I think my interest was about to problematize the notion of limiting the conversation about violence into reckless 2000s, Amatuke and reckless parents of not holding responsibility, but the state is absolved from taking responsibility in talking about the recent death. And I think the problematic elements of the dominant discourse was that it was limiting the contemporary violent structural system in townships only to tavern. And I think the important conversation that I was trying to spark was that we need to transcend the one-dimensional perspective of limiting this conversation only to tavern. And what are these tavern violent deaths tells us about the nature of township in post-1994? Are these new or recent deaths in South African township? And obviously one can respond quickly to that question and say, no, this has been happening in post-1994 township. And in order for one to sufficiently respond to that question, one must be able to locate tavern within their historical context of township violence. And I think townships are simply places of where people meet and drink. But what is particular about the violence in township is that it doesn't happen in other spaces. Why this violence doesn't happen in a suburb, in Sentin, in a place of drinking? But why is it particular in the township? So for me, the conversation has to be located and locating townships within their historical context of township violence rather than talking about tavern violence in abstraction from their historical context of township violence.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap it just there. A hard-hitting question there asked by Masixole Booi, political scientist and lecturer at Rhodes University.